Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Roshan Gidwani, PhillipCapital's media host and presenter. Welcome to the Daily Morning Note. The S&P 500 ended lower and the Nasdaq tumbled deep into negative territory on Monday after both earlier hit record highs following the announcement of a second term for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended slightly higher. Climbing Treasury yields kept tech stocks broadly lower, with holdouts including Microsoft and Apple, which many investors view as relatively safe, giving up gains late in the session. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.05% to end at 35,619.25 points, while the S&P 500 lost 0.32% to 4,682.94. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 1.26% to 15,854.76. Next up, local shares began the week on a more upbeat showing as Singapore further eased its COVID-19 restrictions related to dining and social gatherings amid an improvement in overall infection numbers. Investors appeared slightly more optimistic, with the benchmark Straits Times Index gaining 0.2% or 4.74 points to cap off Monday at 3,237.08. Across the broader market, however, decliners surged past advancers 282 to 190 after some 1.7 billion securities worth Singapore dollars 936.5 million changed hands. In Singapore, global offshore group Keppel FELS has landed a contract from a renewable energy company to construct two offshore substations worth around Singapore dollars 110 million. The project is scheduled to be completed in 2024 to be deployed in an offshore wind farm. Keppel FELS, a wholly owned subsidiary of Keppel Offshore and Marine, Keppel O&M, said in a bourse filing on Monday that its work scope comprises the engineering, procurement, construction, testing, and commissioning for the topside modules of the two offshore substations. This excludes the offshore substation's foundations and electrical components that will be furnished by the client. Temasek has received valid applications of more than 6 times the amount available in its 5-year Singapore dollar bond issue. The retail tranche of the offering drew Singapore dollars 649.5 million in applications when the public offer closed at noon on Monday, November 22nd. The offer of the T2026 Singapore dollar Temasek bond, issued via its wholly owned subsidiary Temasek Financial, comprises 1.8% fixed rate guaranteed notes due 2026. An allocation process will take place following the closure of the offer, with its results expected by the evening of November 23rd. Temasek had said it would take into account the investor demand from applications received before deciding on the final allocation approach. This is the second Temasek bond with a retail tranche. The last time it did so was in 2018 with the 5-year T2023 Singapore dollar Temasek bond, which closed at a fixed interest rate of 2.7% per annum. Next up, Catalyst-listed protective gear manufacturer Medtees International Corp. Reported a 77% slide in net profit for the 9 months ended September 2021 to US dollars 19.26 million, as demand for personal protective equipment fell. Stockpiling exercises for existing customers in 2020 have completed, while the supply and prices of the personal protective equipment PPE market have stabilized globally, the group said in a business update filed with the Singapore Exchange on Monday, November 22nd. In a separate update on its joint venture with U.S. healthcare market player ACO International, Medtech said its wholly owned subsidiary, Medtex Asia Pacific, and ACO are in discussions to enter into a share subscription agreement. Following an initial capital injection, the joint venture company Resilient Medical will have an initial issued and paid up capital of US dollars 9 million, comprising 6 million ordinary shares held by Medtex, Asia Pacific, and 3 million ordinary shares held by ACO. Next up, in the US, sales of previously owned US homes rose unexpectedly in October to the highest level since the start of the year, pointing to healthy demand as more buyers take advantage of stronger job growth and low mortgage rates. Contract closings increased 0.8% from the prior month to an annualized 6.34 million, figures from the National Association of Realtors showed Monday. The median forecast in a Bloomberg survey of economists called for a 6.2 million pace in October. While the monthly pace of sales has settled back after reaching a 14-year high a year ago, they remain well above pre-pandemic levels. Sales are on track to exceed 6 million this year, which would be the strongest since 2006. Next up, President Joe Biden selected Jerome Powell for a second four-year term as U.S. Federal Reserve Chair and elevated Governor Lael Brainard to Vice Chair, maintaining consistency at the central bank as it grapples with the fastest inflation in 3 decades, along with the lingering effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The move, announced by the White House on Monday, rewards Powell for helping rescue the U.S. economy from the pandemic and tasks him with protecting that recovery from a surge in consumer prices. A Republican, Powell faces what will likely be a smooth confirmation in the Senate, where he was backed for his first term as chair in an 84-13 vote, and whose members he subsequently worked hard to woo. Brainard replaces Richard Clarida in the vice chair slot and may face opposition from Senate Republicans for her confirmation. She was interviewed by Biden for the chair position and was seen as a strong contender for the separate job of vice chair for supervision, which remains vacant. That's all from me. I'm Roshan Gidwani. Thank you.